you're here already. I was getting ready for story time. And I have a question for you. Have you ever heard of a story about the time when Vanellope and Ralph just survived a power outage in the video game? Wreck-It Ralph? Well, I'm going to tell you a story about it. Do you want to hear it? Alright! Well, before we start the Blue Jays baseball game, I'm going to tell you a story about Wreck-It Ralph Power Outage. Hope you enjoy it. You see, Vanellope Von Schweetz had missed her friend, Wreck-It Ralph. He spent most of his time in Felix Jr., the game where he lived. But they were planning to meet back at the arcade for some best friend fun. It was the end of the day at the arcade, and the video game characters were gathering in Game Central Station. Suddenly, all the lights in the station went out. It was a power outage. I think we're stuck, Ralph told Vanellope. He was right. Until the power came back on, no one was going anywhere. Don't worry, everyone. Felix Jr. called out. Don't worry, everyone. Felix Jr. called out. My trusty hammer and I will have this fixed in no time. Ralph and Vanellope started to make their way toward Felix, but it was hard to see without the lights. Come on, stink brain! Vanellope said. I think I see Vanellope had run into someone. Oh, I'm sorry, Vanellope. I didn't see you there. It was Gene, the Nice Lantern Mayor from the Fix It Felix Jr. game. Do you think the power will be out for a long time? He asked. I hope so, Vanellope said. This is fun! Vanellope started bouncing excitedly, but she stopped when she saw how nervous Gene was. What's wrong? Vanellope asked him. The truth is, Gene said, the idea of spending the night away from home scares me. Just then, Felix ran past with his hammer. Felix, tap Gene with your hammer, Ralph suggested. Maybe that he won't be scared anymore. Felix hit Gene lightly with his hammer. It was supposed to fix anything. The friends waited and waited, but nothing happened. Gene was still scared. Sorry, Gene, Felix said sadly. I guess there are just some things my hammer can't fix. Vanellope and Ralph knew that they needed to find a way to distract Gene until Felix could get the power back on. Are you thinking what I'm thinking, kid? Ralph whispered to Vanellope. Absolutely, Vanellope said. Party! Come on, everyone! We're gonna have a slumber party! Wait, what? No! Ralph said. He had definitely not been thinking about throwing a party. Trust me, big guy, Vanellope said, patting Ralph on the back. I know what I'm doing. Then she climbed onto Ralph's shoulders and yelled, Now let's have some fun! Ralph sighed. If there was one thing he knew about Vanellope, it was that once she got an idea in her head, there was no changing her mind. Ralph looked around. Satine! He called out, recognizing a fellow member of his bad guy support group, Bad Anon. Think you can help us out with some light? It will be my pleasure, Satine said. He lit his staff, and a small circle of light filled the room. The video game characters wasted no time in following Vanellope's lead. Soon, they were all happily playing party games. Who knew that Zombie would be so good at this? Ralph said, watching Zombie baw for apples. But Gene wasn't paying any attention to Ralph. He was too busy wishing that he was safe in his own bed. Come on, Gene, Ralph said, pushing his friend toward a limbo line. You should give it a try. Gene took a deep breath and limboed in the pool. He could really bend. How's it going, Felix? Ralph called to his friend. Ralph looked around. Where was Felix? Up here, Ralph! Felix called from within one of the ceiling vents high above Ralph. Can't talk now! I think I'm getting close! goes! Jean was having fun, but he was still worried. Vanellope needed another idea. It's time for charades, she cried. Jean, you keep time. Ralph, you're up first. I don't know about this, Ralph and Jean said at the same time. Jean thought he'd be too scared to keep time, and Ralph didn't think that he'd be very good at charades. But Vanellope wouldn't take no for an answer. Rooster? No. Ice cream? No. Giraffe? No, I got it! Lollipop? Vanellope yelled as Ralph tried to act out the first word. Time's up, Jean yelled. It's a sidebug! I was trying to be a sidebug, Ralph explained. Vanellope could see that Jean was starting to feel better, and she planned to keep it that way. She grabbed Jean by the arm and dragged him toward the starting line for a three-legged race. Jean glanced at Vanellope's fellow Sugar Rush racers. They looked tough. Vanellope, maybe this isn't a good idea, he said. Come on, Jean! We have to beat Tafita and Candlehead! Vanellope replied as she tied her leg to Jeannie's. Vanellope was very competitive, and she wasn't going to lose this race. Before Jean could say another word, Sour Bill waved the starting flag. The racers were off! Tafita and Candlehead quickly took the lead, with Winchell and Duncan from the Donut Police close behind. Vanellope! Jean cried as he tried to keep up with her. Slow down! You slow down! You lose, Vanellope said. Come on, Jean! You can do it! Vanellope pulled Jean along as fast as she could, but they were still in third place. Suddenly, one of the racers tripped. Everyone went flying, except for Vanellope and Jean. They raced into the lead and across the finish line in first place. Vanellope jumped up and down. She was so excited that they had won the race. You did it, Jean! Ralph said, lifting Jean onto his shoulders. I did! I won! Jean cheered loudly. Well, we won, but you were great, Vanellope said. Jean was so proud of himself. He had gotten over his fear and had so much fun doing it. He knew he couldn't have done it without the help of his friends, Ralph and Vanellope. And look! You made it through the night, Ralph said. He was right. The sun had come out. And suddenly with a bang, Game Central Station lit up. Because Felix had fixed the power. I never thought that I would make it through the whole night away from home, Jean said. But now that I have, I guess it's not so scary after all. Thanks, guys. Of course, buddy, Ralph said. What are friends for? And from that day forward, Felix learned that there's nothing to be scared of after all, even when it comes to having a power outage. And that's the end of this really interesting story. Whew! Who would have thought that Felix from Game Central Station had a power out, and he was really nervous at first about spending the night away from home, but with the help from Ralph and Vanellope and all their friends from Game Central Station, Felix learned that there's nothing to be afraid of when it comes to having fun during the power outage. Because when he had some fun with his friends, he was not afraid anymore. Thank you so much for returning for story time today. And please make sure you subscribe to my channel for more story time. And come again next time when we do some more story time adventures with me, Uncle Jason. Same story time and same story time channel. And always remember, if you had a power outage where you live, you can never be afraid to have so much fun during a power outage because there's nothing to be scared of. Especially when it comes to power outage, of course. Well, until later, see you next time for more story time. Bye!